Hey, this is Ada.
And this is Stefan.
Welcome to Living Simply in Mexico.
And this video is just a follow-up to our previous video on the ugly side of home ownership in Mexico. And the one thing we want to cover in this video is just internet and Wi-Fi and how to make that right, because that's a really important topic for us and probably for most of you that come down here and watch YouTube videos and do your work.
Yeah, I mean, whether you're coming down here on vacation, I mean, a lot of times people are coming down on a little bit of a working vacation, you're checking emails, you've got that one Zoom call that's really important that thank goodness you can have those backgrounds.
So let's talk about the three major challenges of Wi-Fi and internet here in Mexico. The first is the service providers. We have Telmex and Total Play here in Puerto Vallarta, right?
There's a few of them, but here's the thing. It's important to talk to your neighbors. Neighborhoods can make a big difference. So if you just hear from somebody who lives over in Pitial or in a different area that they've got, they've had good luck with something, don't think that it's necessarily going to be the same for you.
We had Telmex, or have Telmex, and what we used to do is have Telmex and then have our phone data as backup, so we could always hook up to our phone, because our plan, AT&T actually in the United States, uses Telmex data and services down here in Mexico. The problem was it last year that...
Yeah, last year there was a countrywide outage of Telmex.
Yes, everything. So phone, data, and internet. Yeah. So we were out for a bit, and that was a little...
Yeah, everybody was. It was actually kind of a nice day to decide to go down to the beach, because you just were like, nothing's going to happen.
Nothing's going to happen. So the key thing there is, if you're really serious and you need to have internet, internet is relatively inexpensive here, right?
Yeah, it's so we do have two different providers here, and it's still cheaper than what we pay for our and our provider at home back in the U.S. We don't have cable or anything. We have just only internet. Mm-hmm. And it is cheaper here for two different internet providers than it is actually two different houses total. I think my combined internet is cheaper.
So three service providers.
Three service providers is cheaper than one back home.
And what's it, like roughly $30?
Yeah,
US?
It's about 30, I think 30-ish. I mean, we have sort of different speeds at the different houses, but it's roughly, I think, both of them about $30 a month. And my upload speeds or my download speeds can be up as high as like 220.
I'll show here, just walking around our house downstairs, you can see what internet speed we have. The other thing is you'll notice on, like, I think we use speedtest.net, you can see that, sometimes it'll be bumpy, and other times it'll be nice and consistent and stay at one spot. And we found like Total Play is a little bit more consistent than Telmex. Now that just may be our circumstance.
What I heard from somebody, and I don't know if that's the case, is that they couldn't get Total Play unless you were a resident, so or at least having a Mexican phone line. Yeah. And that's one of the challenges too. We have not yet gotten a Mexican cell phone. That's, I think, probably on the next trip or two. But when you're setting up services, they a lot of times are asking for a Mexican cell number. When we usually will find a friend or a contractor, we will use theirs. But that is one of those things that if you need to get some help, they're asking for that number.
Yeah. So the key thing for us, two service providers that we can go to. Now, what's interesting about that is the two service providers coming in, you can get a more expensive router that will take the input from both of those service providers and basically switch over to the one that's got the most speed, basically. If one goes down, it'll switch over to the other one. That is the best place to be. We instead have just two routers. All right, so here's what we got. We got Total Play over here, and then we got the Telmex over here. And we actually have two separate systems in our house, and so we've got complete redundancy. Oh, back offline. Oh, there it is. We're back. This, I think, is a really important one that many people forget, is brief power outages. We're not talking like hours of power outage. It's the just sudden quick drop of power and then it pops back on. What happens is that brings down your routers, that brings down your Wi-Fi system and all that other stuff. And so what we did, we went to Costco and bought a couple uninterrupted power supplies that, they could last for small things for about 40 minutes. And so we plugged in our router as well as our internet modems into that. And so now we don't have to go through that problem. And that's really cut down dramatically our internet stability.
I think that one thing, this is what the box looked like.
I think you get cheaper ones that last less than 40 minutes. You don't need, I mean, literally if you had an uninterrupted power supply for 5 minutes, that's all you'd really need because of the going up.
Yeah, the surges. Since we've done that, and I think we sorted that out.
Huge difference.
It's even during the rainy season where this is where you have more of the kind of the unpredictable internet. It's been pretty solid.
Yeah, and these power supplies also have surge protectors, and that's one thing that we recommend for all your electronics is plug it into a surge protector before you plug it into the wall, because a lot of appliances, TVs and stuff like that are lost because of these power surges. So that's number 2 is the power supply. Number 3 are the beautifully solid concrete, brick, steel, whatever walls that they have here in Mexico. And traveling around the world, as we have done in the past, we found that in Germany and other places too, if you have one Wi-Fi router that pushes out, is not enough to get through, maybe one room at max, right?
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't work here. And normal Wi-Fi just does not work well here if you're not in the same room with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, because where I have the blazing speed in the same room as the router, I come up one floor.
Gone. So what we bought is a Tenda mesh system. I know the Tenda system is really interesting. It's a mesh system, and that's really the important thing. And so they basically are little boxes of repeaters, and it's 3 per system throughout the house. And what it does is they talk to one another, and it really allows you to go floor by floor and get through more concrete walls. And so highly recommend a mesh system when you get your internet. So each one, the Telmex and the Total Play, each have their own mesh Wi-Fi here. And then at the other end of the far end of the house, we've got another trip light battery backup with a node here. So that'll get us to the entire house. And so we've got basically 3 of these on one Total Play, and then 3 other ones on Telmex. Similar here in my office, the speed's pretty darn good because you're going directly to the first node and getting the speed here to the computer. In fact, if you're traveling here and you've got a place that's got internet, bring your mesh system, they're just little white boxes, bring them along with you and plug it in to get more access to different rooms. Really important.
Yeah, and know that it might be a little bit of experimentation in terms of where you place them, how close or far away they are, because like we might have them and we move over 4 inches, and suddenly it's like, ooh, that made a big difference whether it's up or down.
Yeah, and the one thing to note is the mesh systems are extremely stable, but every time you go, so they'll all connect together, and that's fine because then you'll have internet wherever you go and it's seamless throughout the house. The challenge is if you're trying to kind of string them along in serial, if you will, what happens is there's a loss of speed every time you go to a different node. I think probably more than half your drop that you get. So for instance, if we're having like 150 megabytes per second down in our main room where all of our internet comes in, you go to the next box over at maybe 50 or 60 megabytes per second, and then the next box over and maybe even less than that. And sometimes it's down 1 megabyte per second upload and 2 download. I try to do 6 of them, like 6 nodes altogether, which you can do, but that just took it super slow, and so that's why we split our systems in 2. We've got a normal Wi-Fi that we use, and then a backup Wi-Fi, which are completely separate, and that it's a good feeling it gives us confidence when we're in conference calls and stuff. One thing I did is I'd sit around the house, go to speedtest.net, download the app on my phone, and check everywhere to see how the speed's going. It
gives a peace of mind knowing that we can work here when we need to. And yeah, I have to say, thank goodness there's stuff like I said, the noise cancellation, all those other things that then take care of the rest of the adventures that Mexico has to offer.
Yeah, noise cancellation is on Zoom, and it's amazing. I've gotten over the fact that when you go online and do a Zoom call, I noticed some people the other day, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, my lawnmower is going or whatnot, and you don't hear it. And of course, so that's a tip for Zoom and stuff like that. Even though you hear the sound, as long as you've got your stuff configured correctly, you're perfectly cool. You'll have a backdrop behind you and noise canceling, and then you're good to go if you basically address making sure you have duplicate providers, make sure that you've got your uninterrupted power supplies, and make sure that you've got a mesh Wi-Fi system that connects to your house. That's all you need.
That's it.
All right. Take care, everybody, and happy working and surfing and all that other good stuff in Mexico.
Like, subscribe, and
join our Facebook group.
Come in there if you have any questions.
Yes.
And we'll we're not techies, but we play them on
Clearly.
TV. All right, you guys.
Take care, everybody.